Look at Mark. I love Mark. Look at him shaking his head.
What are you shaking your head at? What do you want to shake your head at?
Move on to the next topic, man.
I don't want grumpy Mark Ingram. I don't want surly, fatigued by the holidays.
I was grumpy watching the first round of the CFP. That's what I was grumpy.
Light it.
Bump, 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 bump. Post-Christmas, pre-New Year's edition of The Triple Option, presented by our great partner all season long, Wendy's. Try Wendy's new Saucy Nugs today. National champion winning head coach Urban Meyer, Heisman and national champion winner Mark Ingram, former 24/7 WWE champion Rob Stone back here with you. Thanks for joining us. Happy holidays to everybody out there. Please rate and subscribe over at Apple Podcasts, Spotify, wherever you get your podcasts, as well as across social media where you can find us at 3X Option Show. Next episode is coming out Friday, January 3rd, so right after the quarterfinals. And Coach, are you prepared for what that show is going to be? Because we're missing something. Yeah, we're missing something.
Oh, Deuce is going to be overseas somewhere, and we might never. This might be our last time we see Mark.
What?
I can't say that.
From home, dude.
Dang, that's how you feel about the boy. I got a whole family.
I got
a whole family.
Tokyo. You're the first person I've ever met that said I'm going to Tokyo.
Well, hey, your boy gonna be out there. You feel me? In the flesh, getting some of that top-notch Wagyu beef.
Oh,
you know what I mean?
Not the American Wagyu like you and I had in Columbus a couple times.
It ain't getting imported. It's getting right next door. You know what I mean? That real Wagyu. You know.
How long you there?
9 days.
That's a long time.
Going to Tokyo, going to Kyoto. It's like 14 hours from Atlanta, Coach. Like it's a hike.
I know.
All right. Well, we're gonna miss you. Have fun.
Triple option next year. Triple option
Coach,
in Tokyo. Yo,
I'm sitting here looking at the schedule. I'm like, it's like 14 hours ahead. I'm like, I'm gonna have to wake up 1 a.m., like 5 a.m. to watch these, playoff games on the first. I'm like, I might be up all night. I might not be, but
enjoy the time confusion. It should be fun. All right, let's talk college football playoff. All right, defining moments brought to you by NHTSA. Drunk driving changes your world. Drive sober or get pulled over. Paid for by NHTSA. We're going to talk, of course, the quarterfinals that are upcoming during New Year's Eve and New Year's Day. But let's kind of look ahead to what's lurking. The Monday of MLK weekend, the national championship game. Both of you guys won national titles. How did those titles, I'll start with you, Mark, define your career?
I think it's the ultimate achievement to win a national championship, and to be able to do that as a team, to be able to, I had a bunch of individual success, but it's only because I had a great team through team success. But it defined my career because it's just the ultimate goal, man. It just kind of validates you, man. You go out there and, you have a great career. You're on a great football team, and you're able to accomplish the ultimate goal of winning a national championship, being the best team in the nation, being the number one team, and holding up that crystal ball. It's just validation. It's just certification that you can't hate on me. You got to appreciate me, and you got to elevate because, you know what I mean? We did this, and we ain't new to this. We true to this. I did one of them. Coach got 3 of them. So, man, we just got the natties on deck over here. We certified. We official. And as much as you want to hate, you can't because we done did that. You know what I'm talking about?
I started every year. Bill Parcells had a great video where he held his ring and he said, the moment you win a national champion or a championship, it's like a blood transfer. You're officially brothers the rest of your life. And I would use that in my team meetings at the start of every season, that one of the great things, Mark Ingram goes back to Tuscaloosa with his family. He gets treated like Mark Ingram, like a Heisman Trophy winner, like a national. I love that about the players. I would actually have a locker for all the guys that played in the NFL. They, the Ryan Shaziers back in the day, the Zeke Elliott's, when they come work out, and I want them back. They should not be worrying about carrying their workout gear. They have their own lockers. Yeah. I just think that's one of the great things about when you put your heart and soul into something, to be able to come back. And here's the reality. When I was at Florida, the one team that was always back was the 1996 team. You know why? They're the national champion. They're everywhere. I'd see the former players coming back. You know who's not around? The players who are on bad teams. You never see them. But why would you come back? Your son's going to say, Dad, did you play for Florida? What'd you do? Well, I didn't do anything, so let's move on. And that's a hard reality. The ones that come back all the time are the teams that win.
Yes.
And I used to wear the rings and bang them. You walk around, you smack that ring on the table, and everybody kind of looks around. So it's reality that you get the name national title, the term national title after your name. It's a game. You talk about defining moments. Those are defining moments.
When you win a championship, you walk together forever. But dang, Coach, they ain't win no natty. They just can't come back.
Well, they come back. They don't want to.
What did you play, son? What the son say, Coach?
I played in a
Dad,
Citrus Bowl, Dad.
Did you play at
banner?
Yeah, we didn't do very well. Oh, okay. How was your career, Dad? Well,
Coach, where's your trophy at? Dad, where's your trophy at?
Yeah, right. Participation, AYSO.
Dad, where's your picture at? Well, son,
wait, Mark.
But you know what I'm talking about, Mark. When you go back
exactly
to Bama, who's around?
Oh my goodness,
guys are wearing rings.
The championship teams.
Yeah,
the championship teams on the championship players on the championship teams.
Because they're so proud of that, and they see their brothers. And this is kind of cool too. Whenever you see a national championship team together, there's tears and there's hugs.
Yes.
And that's sports.
And smiles.
Rightfully so.
Just love that.
Yep. And smiles.
Love that. Mark, where's your ring? Where's your ring right now? I know Coach travels with his collection of rings all over the place. Where's yours?
It's upstairs in my closet next to the Rolexes and the jewelries. And it's
I'm making it work next year.
I should go get it real quick. You know what I mean? I should go get it real quick.
Maybe we'll get it.
I'm going to save us the time.
Light it.
You've had Wendy's Nugs dipped in sauce, right, Mark? You've had the Wendy Nugs?
I've had them, and I love them.
But, Mark, I ask you, have you had them covered in sauce? Wendy's new saucy nugs take the crispy and spicy nugs that I know you love, and you know what they turn them up to? They turn them up to 11, Mark.
Ooh, more than 10.
More than
Choose
10.
between flavors like buffalo, honey barbecue, garlic parm, or if you're a real heat seeker, try spicy ghost pepper. Only on Wendy's signature spicy nugs. I dare you. There's 7 delicious ways to try the nugs you already love.
Are you man enough to try the spicy ghost pepper, by the way? Do you think you could pull that off?
That's not for me. I'm the honey barbecue type guy.
Yeah, I can do the peppers. Pick a flavor, grab some extra napkins, and then go back and get a few more napkins and prepare to nug. Apparently the word nug is a verb now. So Mark, prepare to nug like you've never nugged before for a whole new way to nug. It's got to be Wendy's at participating U.S. Wendy's. Keep on nugging, America.
Nug City.
Drinking and driving is a decision that will change your whole world. Things will never be the same once you get a DUI because legal fees and time in court are just the beginning. Getting into a crash is another way your world could be irreversibly changed after drinking and driving. Your vehicle may not be the only thing that gets damaged in that crash. You could face a life-altering injury or even death. But you're not the only one who could face these consequences. Your decision to drink and drive could permanently change someone else's world, whether you injure them or leave their loved ones grieving. The next time you're out drinking, call a rideshare, a taxi, a sober friend, or a designated sober driver. The only decision that will change your world for the better is the decision to call for a sober ride. Drive sober or get pulled over. Paid for by NHTSA. So there are 8 programs left fighting for one of those national championship rings that both of you guys own. The big one, of course, is going to be what goes down in Pasadena, the Rose Bowl, 8-seed Ohio State, 1-seed Oregon. Again, the early line favoring the Buckeyes by 1.5 points. One of the big talking points, of course, Coach, will be A, the rematch, right? But B, the long layoff for Oregon, almost a month long. How does one try to get their program back in gear after one of these extensive type layoffs away from real football?
I think there's 2 points here. Number one, hit it quickly because I've been asked a lot, how do you beat? Is it hard to beat a team twice in a season? You don't really know. That's happened only a handful of times. I think get used to it, though. With this 12-team playoff, there's a chance you could play a team 3 times in the season. So we're about to find out how hard it is because really, I'm sure it's hard, but does it change the way you game plan? No. You try to win the game. The only thing that does give you a little familiarity, for example, Ohio State they'll have a better feel for the juice at the wide receiver for Oregon. So that's number one. Number two, Lou Holtz, and this is really cool. Lou Holtz gave me the greatest advice. He's like a walking encyclopedia. I would call him nonstop, and he would spit out answers. Mark, he was phenomenal. My first time, we beat Arkansas in the SEC championship game in 2006. We have a month to get ready for the national title game, ironically, against Ohio State. First guy I call, Lou Holtz. Here's his advice. Number two things. He said, number one, remember that game's not played till January 8th at 7 p.m. He reminded me for the next 4 weeks, he said, you don't want your players to apex until January, whatever it is, January 8th at 8 p.m. So I would put that in bold letters right in front of my office on a big whiteboard in Sharpie, January 8th, 8 p.m., because you don't want to get them too high, too low. The second thing is your team is in a routine. Keep them in that routine. So that's exactly what I did for 3 weeks. We did a Tuesday hard practice, full pads, much less than what we did during season. Wednesday was the third down red zone. Thursday was the a scripted series. Friday was a walkthrough. And then Saturday I had to get up in the morning and we just quick. But we went through a game day routine because players are routine. They love a routine. Coaches love routine. So every week we just obviously it was much we didn't beat them up at all. So our players told me to the day the reason they played so well in those national championship games, we stayed on a routine for the next 3 weeks.
Yeah. Got to stay on a routine, Coach. But the only thing about how hard it is to beat a team twice, it's very difficult because of the familiarity that comes with playing a team 2 times. Much like the NFL, you play your teams in your division twice a year. And what do? You self-scout. So now Oregon has had this much time to prepare. They're self-scouting. What gave us issues from Ohio State? What Ohio State issues gave us problems? What presented us problems that Ohio State was showing us? And now we're working on them. The pressure packages. Oh, what have they got better at since we played them? Oh, the pressure packages. Oh, offensively, they're getting the ball to their playmakers now. How are they using Travion Henderson, who had a big game? So you're self-scouting and you're doing the things that gave you problems and you're working on those. So I think the extra time off, especially for a good coaching staff and a mature squad like Oregon has, I think it's going to benefit them tremendously as far as preparation goes. And when you have familiarity playing teams 2 times, what wins the game for you? When you're familiar with a team, with what they do, what wins the game for you? Situational football, taking care of the football, not turning the football over, running the football. At the end of the day, the small things will win this game. So that's what you focus on over the time period of having a month-long break. And I remember, man, when we had that month-long break, man, with Coach Saban, man, he had us doing good on good, man. I remember going back to some training camp practices, man, like one-on-ones. Like, I'm like, we was getting after it, man. But when it was
that a good thing for you as a player, Mark?
Like it was a great thing. I mean, I didn't know it
in the moment where you're like, what are we doing? I hate this.
I hated it because I had to block Rolando McClain and Dante Hightower and like Courtney Upshaw. I'm like, these dudes are huge. But at the end of the day, it was getting me ready for Brandon Spikes, who I was going against with Coach Meyer, Carlos Dunlop, all these dudes, Major Wright. Like, you had dudes on the other side that if you weren't preparing, you weren't going to be ready for the game. So going against that good-on-good type of atmosphere, that competitive atmosphere, it had us prepared and ready to play the game when we had to play Coach Meyer and his Gators.
Here's the reality, Mark and Rob, too, is skill sets deteriorate, especially with the younger player. The veteran, the old dude that's played 2,000. I used to have I called it the 2,000 club. Your junior year, Mark, when you played 2,000 competitive reps, now it's all about getting you to the dance. You know, your skill set's pretty developed. But you take that young player, if you sit him down and not keep it, he's going to regress.
Yes.
That's science. That happens. Your skill set deteriorates unless you practice and get going. So I'd have my the Zeke Elliott or whoever had that competitive reps. He'd practice.
Yeah.
But he'd get one of these early. Get out.
Yep. Yeah.
Where Curtis Samuel was a young buck at the time, he needed to keep going because it's science and it's factual. Skill set that is not being utilized do what? They deteriorate.
Wow.
So you got to keep them going. You got to keep them going.
On point, Coach. On point.
And again, this one, a rematch of the 2015 national, excuse me, a rematch of the 2015 national championship game won by Urban and the Buckeyes 42-20 over Oregon. And a rematch, of course, of that October 12th thriller in Eugene, a 1-point win for the Ducks over Ohio
This is
State.
turning into a little bit of a rivalry, isn't it? And you know what? The future is those are the top dogs.
Yes.
You know, Wolverines will be back, but those are the top cats right now.
It's a birth of an amazing rivalry. I mean, a 1-point loss by Ohio State on the road in Oregon. Now you get your chance for redemption in a neutral site. This is what football is all about, and we love it.
So if you guys are saying those are the big two in the Big Ten, Penn State would like to have a word with you. They absolutely dominated
then beat them.
SMU. Exactly. So they took care of SMU 38-10, a convincing win, a pair of pick sixes. James Franklin, he had been just 5-21 versus top 12 teams at Penn State entering this year's playoff. That is your saucy nugget of the week. Try some at your nearest Wendy's. So Franklin able to get that top 12 victory over SMU. People can say, hold on, was SMU really a top 12 team? That's neither here nor there. They had that number in front of them. So yes, they were. Penn State getting the win. And Mark, I think this Fiesta
Look at
Bowl,
Mark. I love Mark. Look at him shaking his head.
what are you shaking your head at? What do you want to shake your head at? James Franklin and what? Going for it and on fourth goal to zone 19 and it backfired? Is that what you want to talk about?
I'm just move on to the next topic, man.
Okay, all right. Well, I'm going to cheer you up. I don't want grumpy Mark Ingram. I'm not grumpy.
I was grumpy
by
watching.
the holidays.
I was grumpy watching the first round of the CFP. That's what I was grumpy.
All right. Well, I want to cheer you up ahead of your big trip to Tokyo because the Fiesta Bowl is a game that Mark Ingram should like because it is. There are some runners out there, man, and of course, Ashton Genty, 2,497 rushing yards this season, number one in the nation. Came in second place in the Heisman. He only needs 132 yards to break Barry Sanders' single-season rush record. Of course,
132?
Only 132, and Ashton's had some more games, but we saw what Penn State did with their running game throughout the course of the season, and clearly what they did against SMU. So it feels like this game is really going to kind of hinge on the running games of these two programs, Mark.
Man, you have 3 NFL backs in this game, and I love it. Talk about Ashton Genty, Heisman runner-up in the closest race since your boy, 132 yards away from breaking Barry Sanders' record. But Barry did it in 11 games. Let's not. But the fact that
let's temper it a bit, but still give him the accolades.
Much props to Ashton Genty on the season he's had, and then you have Katron Allen and Nick Singleton. This is going to be, if you want to watch football, if you want to watch NFL running backs, you want to tune in for this game. And it's because we got 3 legit ones who will all be Sunday football players. And I'm just super excited for this one because it's Boise State the real deal. We have a chance to see. You go, you have Penn State. Everyone wants to know. Okay, the college football playoff. Everyone wants to know. What will a team like Boise look like in the playoff? Well, hey, we get a chance to find out. And Penn State is on the roll. Drew Aller didn't play his best game, and they still won in a convincing fashion. So, we know Boise plays tough on defense. We know they're going to stop. We know Penn State is going to load the box up and try to stop Ashton Genty. So can Maston, the quarterback, do what he needs to do, make some plays on the outside to back this defense up to give Genty some chance to be able to be successful. But if I'm a football fan, I want to watch this game because there's 3 NFL Sunday running backs in this game. And and you get a chance to appreciate that, the love for the RBs. Too.
You know what I found interesting? You were saying, is Boise State for real? And this is an opportunity for them to prove that against a program with a pedigree.
Every
of Penn
time
State.
we say that, though, and I jumped on that bandwagon too, and then I went back as we did the Boise State game, the Mountain West Conference Championship, and on the plane I downloaded Boise against Oregon
early in the season.
And my man ran wild. And there's a lot of people that say Oregon has a better defense than Penn State. So I'm all in. I think it's going to be really rugged for a Genty and I love that kid. I mean, just that whole environment that we experienced at Boise, that was one of the greatest things I've experienced. The whole town's there.
Yeah.
But the reality is that how many players in the trenches could actually
hold up.
I don't know this. Can hold up and could actually play at Penn State. I'd start at center and I'd work my way out and say, okay, where's the matchups? Obviously, you're going to find outside a little easier to find because you got Jeremiah Smith, you got the freaks out there. You can see that usually. But you got to really study it inside. And I haven't done that yet. But how many players, Mark, at Boise State in the trenches could play at Penn State?
Right.
If the answer is 0, 1, or 2, this is not going to be a good ending.
Coach, you talked about that first game real quick, Stoner. Ashton Jeanty, 192 yards, almost 8 yards per carry. The difference, the quarterback play, Maston, 17 of 40. 17 of 40. That's not going to get it done versus Penn State. So you have to have better quarterback play in this game from Boise State. Because we know Jeanty, we know the identity of this Boise team. But when you're in this playoff, at this stature of the season, your quarterback must get you to the next level. So that's going to be the key for all these teams in the playoff moving forward.
And Batson certainly has improved from that point. Only 3 interceptions thrown this season, 29 touchdown passes. I want to go back to one of your points, Mark. You said, hey, there's a chance for Boise State to prove themselves against a program that is nationally recognized like a Penn State. Totally get it. What will be interesting about Penn State is should they get by Boise State, there's still going to be these questions about, is Penn State really good enough, right? They're going to be like, oh, well, you hosted SMU.
Right.
Oh, you took on Boise State at a neutral site. I think the questions for Penn State will still be there. No questioning.
Oh, we
their
still
defense.
have questions for Penn State. We still have questions.
Understood. And we have questions for Drew Aller because he looks the part. He's a leading man. He's a first-round pick off the bus.
Is he?
But he's still not quite just the looks.
That's
the
too
looks,
early
the
to
size,
ordain
the
that
arm.
one, Rob. That's too early to ordain.
That's why he's
first-round
coming
draft
back
pick.
for another year, right? And
He has
needs
to.
to
He's
start
not a
doing
first
it
rounder right now.
In these type of situations.
Look at Mark's face.
I know. You've mentioned in the past that they don't have that speed out wide. Penn State, that is a concern for them. But their defense, top 10 rushing defense in the nation, allowing just a hair over 100 yards a game. They've only allowed 7 opponent rush touchdowns all season. Again, top 10 in the nation. So that's kind of strength on strength as well, right? Like, Boise State's going to go as far as Ashton Jeanty can run them, right? And one other interesting note about it, the Fiesta Bowl and Boise State. Yeah, those two have a history, right? 18 years ago, that classic win in the Fiesta Bowl over Oklahoma. Coach Peterson, our good friend, all those took place. So the Boise State faithful are going to be happy to be in Arizona, back at the Fiesta Bowl. That place is going to put a smile on their faces. Excited.
Not far for them either. So I'm sure they're going to travel really well.
For them, that's a manageable. They would go anywhere. They would go anywhere, and
for sure.
So a proving ground. Definitely for Boise State. If Penn State gets by, there'll still be some more question marks. The winner of that game will take on the survivor of kind of a blue blood showdown, Notre Dame and Georgia. That one, New Year's Day in the Sugar Bowl in New Orleans. The big talking point of this one, of course, Mark, is the quarterback situation for the Bulldogs. Carson Beck came into the season, Heisman favorite, first round grade. He was going to be all everything, and instead he's found the other team a lot more than most would expect, and certainly more than Georgia fans wanted. But also, it clearly sounds like he will not be available for this game, talking about surgery options for the elbow on his throwing arm. So what you're going to bring in right now, again, as expected, is Gunnar Stockton will get his first ever start for Georgia, and it comes in a quarterfinal showdown against 7-seed Notre Dame.
I just have this belief in Kirby, man. Like, I've said it before. I was at Alabama when he was the defensive coordinator. I know how this guy thinks. I think he's just going to have this team prepared. Then you give Gunnar Stockton 2 weeks to prepare as the starter, get the starting reps, get the number 1 reps. He came in the game in the SEC championship and was efficient. He only had 3 incompletions, had a turnover. So look, you clean up the decision making, take away the turnovers, and let your team do what they do. The defense, we know how physical they are. They've been up and down. We always say Team A or Team B. Georgia comes with Team A. I like them to win this game versus Notre Dame. But Notre Dame is as advertised defensively. Their defense flies around. They cause havoc. They get tackles for loss. They're great in the secondary. Jeremiah Love, 98-yard touchdown run, flu-like symptoms. The question is, will Riley Leonard, can he do it? I keep saying, can Riley Leonard bring the Irish to the victory? And that's what's going to have to happen for Notre Dame. Riley Leonard's going to have a huge game. But at the end of the day, I think Kirby Smart. I just have this belief in Kirby. I think he's going to have this team prepared. I think Gunnar Stockton with a week, 2 weeks to prepare as a starter.
It's actually kind of like 3 weeks when you think about it, right?
3 weeks. 3 weeks to prepare as a starter?
And remember, he came in the SEC championship game at halftime when Georgia was trailing 6-3. You're right. His efficiency was good. Not a whole lot of yards, only 71 yards passing on those 16 pass attempts. Did have that interception. But I think sometimes in those situations, the guys around you step up, right?
Yep.
They're like, oh, Beck is gone. Number 2 is in. I need to move.
I need to elevate my game.
I need to bump my game up. And coach,
and the receivers need to do it because they've been dropping passes all year long. So.
and listen, coach dealt with this. He understands what it is. You go back to that 2014 run, coach. You did it with your 3rd string quarterback in a stressful situation like Gunnar Stockton's about to walk into in the college football playoffs. How did you do that, coach?
CFP. How do you manage that, coach? Like, not with the 2nd string, but the 3rd string.
3rd string
First
quarterback.
of all, you did immaculate job recruiting. First of all,
right. Well, and he didn't. Back then, you couldn't leave, so you had most people don't have 3rd string quarterbacks now because they all leave.
They're walk-ons.
And the second one, first of all, Cardell was so talented, but everyone, that was one of those next man up mentalities. A lot of people say it. We lived it, and it was really cool. I want to hit something with Notre Dame. This is the 2nd talent equated game that they played all. This is shocking because I coached at Notre Dame for, I think, 6 years. And I remember I used to ask, tell me your scheduling philosophy when I got there. And because of all the Subway alums around the country, they go to the East and they play the top teams in the East. Back in the day, they would play Miami. Oh, that's the South. At the East, they play Penn State. Obviously, every year they play Boston College, but the best teams in the East. And they go to the South. They play Miami. They play Florida State. They play Texas. The best teams. Then you go out West, you play the best teams. And that was the scheduling philosophy. Here's their schedule in 20. This is how it's changed a lot. Obviously, they opened up with A&M. Northern Illinois, Purdue, Miami, Ohio, Louisville, Stanford, Georgia Tech, Navy, and Florida. Florida State's a down, Florida State. Virginia, Army, and SC's down. So this will be their only 2nd talent equated game. That means now the difference in the game is going to be coaching. When you don't play talent equated games, it's, you just don't turn the ball over and you usually win that game. Mm-hmm. And they lost one of those. So I'm just staring at this thing, and is Notre Dame ready for what's going to line up across from the other side? Because they have not seen it all year since game 1. And I would say even game 1, A&M didn't have what Georgia has. How will that team react to looking across the line of scrimmage and seeing a big veined up cat that they haven't seen all year?
Yeah,
I don't know. That's why I'm so, because I think Marcus Freeman's done a hell of a job. I mean, it's fun to watch him. He's a great dude and all that, but reality is about to set in. And I'm not saying I don't know enough about him. I'm going to watch more. It's only this. How many teams can say that, Mark? All year, you've only played one other team that had similar type players that you have. Only one.
Yeah, and they won though. They won. Well, they won it when they played it. They won it in
except one.
And they didn't beat Northern Illinois, and that wasn't talent equated.
No.
But they will be up for this game. And A&M has a great defensive line, man. We talk about those guys that they have on the D line, and they were able to win that game. So can they draw from that and build on that? Can they do it? We will see. We shall see.
That Notre Dame defense showed up big time against a very good Indiana offense. And guess what? The Indiana offense didn't get on the bus to South Bend because they were absolutely marginalized and nullified.
That defense is as advertised.
10 tackles for loss, 3 sacks. Indiana offense could never get anything going. Georgia has never lost to Notre Dame. 3-0 all-time versus Notre Dame. 2 of those wins have come with Kirby Smart in charge. Notre Dame seeking their first ever 13-win season.
The Fighting
in
Irish.
Program history. How about that?
The Fighting Irish got a chance, man. Hey, I'm getting excited again.
As you should be. And
Notre Dame, they got a shot against the Bulldogs, man. Let's go.
Coach, real quick, I'm curious your take on game planning with the quarterback change. And I want you from the Notre Dame side real fast. So Gunnar Stockton comes in, again, limited numbers this season. But if you go back to his high school numbers, and again, I know we're talking high school numbers here, but this cat can run. He's got legs. 4,377 yards rushing. He rushed for 77 touchdowns.
Saucy nugs.
Yeah, that is a bonus Wendy's saucy nug. So he is much more of a nimble running type quarterback compared to a Carson Beck.
Okay, a couple thoughts. This is really cool stuff, Mark. All right, first thought about him being a runner. I don't know who's behind him. When Cardell Jones took over, we were done. I had Jalen Marshall was my H-back, who was a wishbone quarterback. Every 6 snap in practice, I'd stick Jalen Marshall, and in case Cardell got hurt, you can't just stop the game.
Yeah.
You got to keep playing. So I don't know. I'm not aware. I'm going to look that up. What's behind him? If you don't have a guy behind him, you can take those rushing stats and cut him in half. They're not going to run him very much. And you can't, because that's not fair to the team, but you got to win that damn game. And I used to yell at Cardell when he would scramble. I'd be screaming from the sideline, get down, get down, get down. A little bit like when a player gets his first start in basketball, the adrenaline's pumping. The first shot, what always happens? It goes
strong.
long, it hits the back of the rim, and it bounces off hard.
Yep.
Because everything so we're getting ready. Cardell Jones is going to make his first start against Wisconsin in the Big Ten championship game. And we're thinking it through. Our game plan was we did not have one pass in the offense between the hash marks. Everything was on the outside. Because what's a quarterback doing? I mean, this kid's going to be out of his freaking mind. First, he's going to be nervous. The adrenaline's pumping. He's going to overstride, and he's going to sail some balls. When you sail a ball on an outcut or a corner route or a inside fade, you know where the ball goes, right?
High.
Out of bounds.
Oh.
What happens when you let one sail on a square in or a crossing route? It's called an interception. So if you go back and watch that, I'm obviously I'm not in the game plan meetings for Georgia. I would not play that game at all between the hash marks. I'd keep that sucker on the outside. Certainly in the first half, let him calm down, because that you don't lose the ball. You don't lose games because of incomplete passes. You're going to lose that game if he throws a pick.
Yep.
You think it takes a whole half to calm? You think it takes a whole half to calm down?
I don't know the player, but with Cardell, it was a whole game.
And
Cardell never made a start.
You know what else helps calm him down? A run game. So Trevor Etienne will have to have his best game of the season, not only to control the line of scrimmage, but to help out his quarterback, who's in his first start in the biggest moment.
Etienne, remember, missed a couple games because of that rib injury. Returned for the SEC championship game, 87 yards, 3 touchdowns. 3 touchdowns. Speaking of running, to wrap up this Notre Dame Georgia talk, 1981 Sugar Bowl coach, a young freshman by the name of Herschel Walker.
I remember that.
Led the Dogs to a 17-10 win in New Orleans that won Georgia the national title.
Ooh,
that's a good nug right there.
Back on Bourbon Street.
Herschel,
Notre
Heisman
Dame
brother.
and Georgia. Coming up next, our calls on the Fiesta and Sugar Bowls, courtesy of BetMGM's Pick 6.
Light it.
Well, as you all know by now, we have teamed up with our great friends at BetMGM this season, and we're going to be using BetMGM lines to make all of our picks. We'll also have special offers for our listeners each week. Mark, you're listening, right? You're listening to this?
Yeah, I'm listening.
Pay attention. All right, so if you haven't signed up for BetMGM yet, we urge you to use the bonus code OPTION or go to betmgm.com/option, and you will get up to $1,500 first bet offer, Mark, on your first wager with BetMGM. We're talking $1,500, Mark.
$1,500. But here's how it works. Download the BetMGM app and sign up using bonus code OPTION. Deposit at least $10 and place your first wager on any game. You'll receive up to $1,500 in bonus bets if your bet loses. Just make sure you use bonus code OPTION when you sign up, or go to betmgm.com/option.
It's all about the option, Mark.
It's all about the option, especially the triple option.
See BetMGM.com for terms. 21 plus only. U.S. promotional offers not available in New York, Nevada, Ontario, or Puerto Rico. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. Available in the U.S. Call 877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY 467369, New York. Call 1-800-NEXT-STEP, Arizona. 1-800-327-5050 in Massachusetts. 1-800-BETS-OFF in Iowa. 1-800-981-0023 in Puerto Rico. First bet offer for new customers only. Subject to eligibility requirements. Rewards are non-withdrawable bonus bets that expire in 7 days in partnership with Kansas Crossing Casino and Hotel. Welcome back to the last edition of the Triple Option presented by Wendy's for the year 2024. Great run for us. Thank you again to all of our sponsors. Man, how good has Wendy's been to us? Not only just on Big Noon Kickoff, but here with the triple option. Mark Ingram, Urban Meyer, Rob Stone back here with you. Time now for Pick Six, brought to you by BetMGM. Place your money line, prop parlay, and same game parlay bets at BetMGM. Download the app today. As always, please gamble responsibly. Again, these lines are going to fluctuate, but the early numbers are in. We're going to pick 2 quarterfinal games right now. We're going to start with the Fiesta Bowl. Penn State-Boise State, the Nittany Lions, sitting there as the number 6 seed, a favorite mark by 10 points over the Boise State Broncos. 10-point spread in favor of the Nittany Lions. Does that feel right? Too big? Too small?
I think it's the right number. I agree. And I think they're going to cover. Penn State. Listen, man, like, I still got questions about Penn State, right? But at the end of the day, I think the difference will be the quarterback play. When you get to these moments, I keep saying this, Stone, your quarterback, you have to have a guy at the quarterback position. And I just will lean Penn State in this game. Obviously, Boise State with Ashton Jeanty. They have their hands full. He went for 197 yards on Oregon earlier this year, so they are very much capable. But at the end of the day, the quarterback battle, I think that's the difference. And I'm not saying I believe all the way in Drew Aller, but I believe in him more than I do Maston for Boise State. So I think I got Penn State covering this one because of their defense. I think they're going to swarm. I think they're going to try to load up the box, stop Ashton Jeanty. I think they're going to put pressure on Maston, make him make a lot of decisions, put him in tough predicaments. So I think they're going to be ready to roll, and I think I got Penn State covering in this one.
Yeah, common sense tells you Penn State will cover. The problem is I just keep going back. How many players at Boise State were recruited by Penn State? And I always go back to, mano a mano, especially up front. And the reality is that I've watched Boise State. You take Jeanty out, I'm not sure how good they are. And Jeanty's a freaking manster, and he had one opportunity against a big dog, and that was Oregon, and he did it. However, I just think this game will be extremely close at halftime, like really close. And I think the wear and tear on the big dogs up front by Penn State on offensive and defensive line will wear them out. And by the time the fourth quarter games, I think they'll cover. But it won't be until the fourth quarter because I think they'll just wear them out a little bit.
Coach,
big bodies leaning on big bodies eventually give in. In your
days when you had to neutralize a running back, right? And we know Boise State is built on the run game of Ashton Jeanty. What are some of the quick little things that you would do defensively that you're going to say to yourself, guys, this guy, number whoever, is not going to beat us?
Yeah, there's two things. There's one, you can stop the run game. And now, unless the guy, BYOB, can just break tackles, which Jeanty can.
Which he does,
He will have extra people. There will be one extra person, and they'll play one high the entire game. Penn State will. They're going to stop. They're going to force Boise to throw the football. However, everybody's done that. And this kid's that good that you see him, his post-contact yard mark, you gave us a stat
1,800 yards.
It's ridiculous.
More than any other runner in the country.
However, Penn State, on paper, has a much better player tackling them than Oregon, on paper. So the number one thing is you put an extra hat in a box. The number two thing is line movement. And that's, you try to discombobulate the offensive line of Boise State. How do you do that? You do movement. Yeah. And they've had some time to prepare for this one. They've been, I tell you what, Penn State's been working on Jeanty for a month now. They've had someone else in the back room as they're getting ready for SMU. They've been working on this one. So they're going to have a pretty good scheme.
What Penn State does really well, they run 11 players to the ball. When you have a runner who breaks tackles, you swarm the football. You run 11 people to the football. Get him down, because he is going to break tackles. But when he does break the tackle, you have to have another person hitting him right away.
I agree,
Swarming the football, 11 people running to the football will be paramount for this Penn State defense. But that's what they're built on. They run high energy. They run to the football, 11 people to the ball, playing with their hair on fire. So they'll be prepared for this game. They'll be prepared for this opportunity. But I do want to see Jeanty ball, though.
I do want
to see Jeanty ball. I do want to see Jeanty go crazy.
I think the neutral fan is thinking the same thing. I want to see this kid at a quote-unquote underprivileged university compared to the Penn States of the world and the Georgias and the Notre Dames. A little small, tiny upstart program like Boise State.
I'm not a whole believer in Penn State, though. I'm not a whole believer.
And nobody is, and they're not going to be a big believer in Penn State and James Franklin until they get until they
To the
get by a Notre
semis.
Dame or Georgia in the semifinals. That's the only way they can calm that narrative down. And again, Boise State going back to the Fiesta Bowl 18 years after that historic game against Oklahoma. Again, the one theme of the 4 first-round playoff games, the 4 winners all won the line of scrimmage, and it wasn't even close. And all the coaches said that's where we won the game. So it'll be curious to see who wins that line of scrimmage. Penn State clearly seems to have the advantage in that one. Let's pivot now to the Sugar Bowl, Notre Dame and Georgia. Of the teams that had buys, okay, only Georgia is a favorite right now. Of the 4 teams that got buys, only Georgia's favored, and they're barely favored. Coach, the Bulldogs favored right now in the Sugar Bowl by 1.5 points over Notre Dame.
I'll tell you, Vegas is amazing. And I stare at these point spreads, and I think they're right on. I mean, they're right on. My question is, and it will be until they play talent equated. I use that term because I would use it with our players. This is a talent equated game. Notre Dame should have the same players because they recruit against each other. Georgia probably has a little bit better roster for the NFL draft because they normally do. However, Notre Dame, how is the players going to respond when they see a high draft pick across from them? Because they've not seen that, Rob. They've not. One time, and that was 3 months ago. And they won the game at Texas A&M. But the rest of the season, imagine that, Mark. Imagine you playing 12 or 13 games where you know that guy trying to attack you is not as good as you. And that's the reality of the hierarchy of college football. Yep. So I think the point spread's right. You're asking me to pick. I don't know. I don't know enough about Notre Dame. They're great. The coaches, I love the dude. Everything's great what they've done so far. But the guys they are blocking, they've been better than. Mm-hmm. Other than one time, and that was 3 months ago. So I'm anxious to see. Where Georgia, on the other hand, they played probably 4 teams that have the same type of dudes that they have. Maybe 5 teams.
They play that A&M team, and they have some good defensive linemen. A&M, Nick Scorton. We know about their pass rusher. So, and they were able to kind of neutralize that and get that win.
A
very long time ago. But the key for Georgia would be Gunnar Stockton. Coach, you said you had to deal with a third string quarterback. You had to deal with a third string quarterback. Coach, what's the difference between a quarterback having to get thrown in the game at halftime as opposed to preparing as a starter for 2 or 3 weeks?
Night and day.
Yes.
Night and day. He's getting all the reps of practice.
Exactly. So I think Gunnar Stockton will be prepared. I think he was efficient in his first matchup coming in relief duty for Carson Beck. Trevor Etienne will be a key. And the physicality of that defense. I think all of those things is going to be a problem for Notre Dame. But the main thing is these receivers who have some of the most drops in the country, can they make plays to help out their backup quarterback? Because they will have to. They will have to. But Notre Dame, man, they're as advertised on defense. They run around physical. They get tackles for loss. They're great on the back end. They run the football with Jeremiah Love, Riley Leonard, Gunnar Stockton, Riley Leonard, Gunnar Stockton. At this point of the season, Stoner, your quarterback must make plays to win you the game. Do not turn the football over, and you will have to convert on third downs. Which quarterback will show up? Which quarterback will have the game of their life? That's who's going to win this game. I got to be in Georgia.
And Riley Leonard, he's been very efficient and hot as of late, connecting on almost 75% of his passes over the course of the last 3 games. So Leonard is coming in with some confidence. Clearly,
not one team that they've been thrown against had the same players they've had. This one they will.
Georgia, they have won 7 straight postseason games. Their last loss, where they're about to play, the Sugar Bowl, 2019. Their last postseason loss, and it came to Texas. And again, right now, Georgia, a slim favorite over Notre Dame in that quarterfinal
What's that line,
showdown.
Stoner?
1.5.
1.5? Wow.
1.5. You guys both like Georgia to cover?
Ooh. 1.5? Wow.
I'm going to go Georgia cover.
Yep. Georgia's going to cover.
Close, though, man.
Don't let Brady Quinn hear it. Don't let
Brady's not going to be happy about it.
No, he's not.
I'll tell you, man, Stoner, I just got this belief in Kirby, man. I just believe Kirby is going to have this team ready to play.
And for good reason.
Yeah.
For good reason. He's proven it. He's proven it over and over again. And again, Georgia has never lost to Notre Dame, 3-0 all time, including 2-0 under Kirby Smart. Make sure to follow, subscribe, rate us on YouTube, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, wherever you get your podcasts, as well as across social media. We can be found at 3X Option Show. Submit those questions. Again, we've got all kinds of fun coming your way in the new year. This is the last episode of The Triple Option here in 2024. We'll see you in 2025. Mark's going to be out in the Far East sending us videos of him eating sushi. Meanwhile, Coach and I are going to be grinding, talking about the college football playoffs when The Triple Option returns. Thank you again to our wonderful sponsors here in our first year in the podcast industry at The Triple Option: Wendy's, BetMGM, USAA, NHTSA. Man, it has been so great to work with you guys. We appreciate the confidence and the belief you had in us. Everybody, have a great new year and enjoy.
We wish you a Merry Christmas.
Safe travels, Mark.
Thank you. Appreciate you. Love you. And a Happy New Year.